Welcome to the Life with Joey Calvo Podcast. I am Joey Calvo. Please continue to help the victims of the Texas wildfire or Texas floods and the California wildfires. They do need our assistance while they are rebuilding. Tonight, our guest is Christopher Baum. He has spent more than 30 years delivering high-quality IT analysis and services to use of technology in government and the election industry in particular. He advised states of New York, Arizona, and Delaware on election regulations and legislation, as well as other states and jurisdictions on general election issues. He's testified before the U.S. House of Representatives, House Administration Committee in support of Help America Vote Act and the U.S. Elections Assistance Commission. Christopher, welcome to the podcast.
Happy to be here, Joey. I want to start off with a very important question for you.
Go ahead.
Can you believe the way that Jordan Davis blocked that field goal, picked up that ball, and ran it in for a touchdown at the end of that game yesterday?
Of course, you're asking a non-Eagles fan, but yes, I did see the play, and yes, I could believe that could happen. I mean, even if Jordan Davis got tackled before the play, before he got into the end zone, they had won the game anyway with the block itself. But just topping it with the touchdown has been the talk of the town in Philadelphia all day today.
And I know you're not an Eagles fan. I did my background.
Now we know we're in trouble. Yeah, and yes, the 49ers are 3-0, and we did surprise the Cardinals on that.
Yeah,
in reference to that. So,
but I know that you're right over the river. I'm in South Jersey. I'm a Jersey boy.
You're talking to a New Brunswick Rutgers guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Believe it or not, where I grew up, if I walked out of my house, my childhood house, walked down to the street, because I lived on a little bit of a hill on the property, and looked to the left across Easton Avenue, I could see Rutgers Stadium.
Cool.
And I did get the opportunity to go to Rutgers Stadium in back in the 90s. When Rutgers reopened the stadium after renovating it so many times.
Yeah.
I was working at the Home News Tribune at the time when that happened, and I managed to get 2 tickets. So I took a late friend of mine. So it was great to sit in the stadium once, and then I did get an opportunity to go to what's now MetLife Stadium to see Rutgers play again. But at that time, Rutgers was getting their heads put on a plate.
Yeah.
At that time. I mean, they were getting killed at that time. So, but yeah, I grew up in New Brunswick. I go to Atlantic City a lot, as most of the viewers of the podcast are here. So, and once in a blue moon, I actually do my podcast from Atlantic City. But right now, being unemployed, I don't get that opportunity, unfortunately. But Christopher, explain how you got to where you're at right now. What steps did you take in your life? What led you to be where you're at right now?
Okay, well, right now, my primary position is I'm the Chief Compliance Officer with VotRite, and we are a company that is bringing some new voting technology to market, and we want to make sure that Americans, both private and public, have the confidence in their voting technologies and the results that are being reported. Our goal is to make sure that Americans have the access to systems that are accurate, fair, reliable, and secure.
Okay. So
now, how I got here?
I was going to say, tell us your background. How you got to where you're at.
Well, how I got to where I'm at was in the 1990s, I was working for a technology research company called DataPro, located here in South Jersey, owned by McGraw-Hill, and then later transitioned from McGraw-Hill to Gartner, Inc., which is a global research company. I was helping governments around the world prepare for Y2K. Helping them say, look, these are the issues that are going to be coming up as we switch from a date system that can run on only 2 digits to one that requires 4. Because, people who were not really of age at the time don't realize what a big problem that was. A lot of the systems that were used in governments in particular have been designed in the 1960s and the 1990s when if you were buying memory, you were paying millions of dollars for it. When I was in the 1980s, when I was the coordinator of information systems for Texas Tech School of Medicine, I built their first local area network. And I had to build it myself because we didn't have a contractor that knew how to do it. We were running the entire campus on one 5 megabyte hard drive. So that is approximately 1/1000th of the amount of storage that's in the phone in your pocket.
Okay.
So that's my background. I actually come from a technical background.
Okay.
Now I'm looking at what systems are going to be affected when the year changes from 1999 to 2000. And one of the things that I notice is that voting systems are going to be a big problem because some of the mechanical systems, the first voting machines were built in the 1960s and were still in use in the 1990s. And they just weren't going to be able to handle the transition.
Okay. All right. So, now, in reference to the updated voting machines that are out now, and the how can I best way of explaining this? The
controversies.
Yes, in reference to the 2020 and 2024 elections.
Okay, both elections were fair. I'm not saying that there weren't small problems in some places, but there weren't any coordinated efforts. People don't generally know this, but by and large, elections in the United States are conducted at the county level.
Okay.
They are not coordinated at the state. Now, sometimes the states will certify machines. Some states, 11 states, don't have any certification process at all. It's all done at the county level. So when you look at county by county, considering that they, by and large can't keep the roads in condition from county to county, there's no way you're going to coordinate that kind of action on a voting system. You're talking about machines that are used by and large once every 2 years. Maybe for municipal elections as well. So there wasn't a coordinated effort in either election. Both of the results were correct. They demonstrated the will of the people. Now it's a whole different discussion as to, whether the will of the people is right. That's not what we're here to talk about. But both elections were accurately reported. The results of both elections were accurately reported.
Okay. What are your thoughts about states going with mail-in voting now, and feeling that maybe do they feel that the reason why most people want to do the mail-in are that they don't trust these machines, or do they want to base it off of what happened in 2020, what happened with 2020 and 2024's elections?
Well, the controversy about mail-in votes is not about how the votes are tallied. It's about how they're handled.
Okay.
And, that's a chain of custody issue. That's a timing issue, whether it should count on the date that it's mailed or the date that it's received.
Mhm.
Those are really procedural issues, and they have to be addressed by lawmakers. That's not a technology issue.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
what is a technology issue is how ballots are counted, whether they're
Okay.
counted by hand or whether they're counted by machine.
Okay. Okay. And
Uh,
so, go
Go ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead. I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, hey, I've been married for 46 years. I'm used to it.
Rumple.
So you're seeing a push by the president, by some members of Congress, and some governors to go to hand-counted ballots.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why voting systems were invented in the first place is humans can't count. We're really bad at counting.
Mm-hmm.
So aside from that, and I'll give you proof of that.
Yeah.
Starting from one, count by threes.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Oh, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18.
Okay, you're wrong. You started from 0. I said start from 1. So it would have been 4, 7, 10, 13.
Okay.
All right. But that aside, assuming that we can, teach people to count in some kind of a reasonable manner,
Mm-hmm.
let's look at how much it would cost.
Okay.
Do you know how many ballots were cast in the presidential election in 2024 in the city of Philadelphia?
I would say, God, about 1 million.
Okay. Not quite. It was, in fact, exactly 727,595 ballots.
Wow.
Okay. That information, by the way, is coming from electionreturns.pa, which is part of the Secretary of State office in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
All right. Now, a study was done at Mojave County by a guy named Alan Temperate, who still is the director of elections in that county, on how long it takes to actually count ballots. And if you go through an entire presidential ballot, it's going to take you about 3 minutes per ballot to do it correctly, to make sure that all of the races are counted properly. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense to you? You remember how big the ballot was in the presidential?
Right.
Okay.
It took more than 3 minutes to fill it out.
Yeah. All right. So to count that properly, it takes 4 people. Okay. Mm-hmm. You need to have somebody. You've got somebody who's called the caller, mm-hmm. who is reading the results of each ballot. You have 2 talliers making a mark for each candidate for each office. And then you have a witness that is making sure that all of this stuff is being done properly. So each tallier is marking the correct space. The caller is calling the ballot correctly. So you have one person who is in charge of making sure that all of that is happening for each ballot. Mm-hmm. So 4 people doing the count for each stack of ballots, okay?
Okay.
So that means that if you're doing 3 ballots, a ballot every 3 minutes, you're doing 20 ballots an hour, okay. Right?
Right.
So you've got 4 people that you've got to pay, right?
Yep.
To do 7,200, 7,000, sorry, let me try this again. 72,595 ballots would take you 36,379 and 3/4 of an hour.
Wow.
Okay. That, using 4 people, means that you've got to pay $145,500 519 person hours. Now, minimum wage in Philadelphia is $16.35 an hour.
That's new to me. Believe it or not, that is actually new to me. I never knew that Philadelphia's minimum wage went up that high.
Yep.
Because I know in the Commonwealth it's still $7.25 an hour.
That's correct.
Okay, so Philadelphia has the highest, even higher than Jersey, because I think Jersey, is minimum is 15.
Yep.
Okay.
So at Philadelphia's minimum wage, the cost of counting all of those ballots, and this is just counting, all right? This is not training. This is not handling the ballots. This is not lighting, providing food, any of those things. Just counting is $2,379,235.65.
Wow. Whew.
Okay. Now, that does not include verifying the ballots that they're accurate.
Right.
As I said, providing food, facilities, all of those things, training the people. Now, we talked about it being 4 people.
Yeah.
But if it's 4 people, it's going to take you 145,000 hours. Right. So more than likely, you're going to have more than one team.
Yeah.
Okay. So all of those people have to be provided for. Counting ballots is expensive.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you got, if you have more than one team, then you have to gather up that each team's votes and tabulate that together, and that's probably another team right there. So that's another 145,000 hours right there on top of that. So I mean, you figure if Philadelphia is doing that, and you got 12 teams, and then it has to be certified by the by the voting board. Not the voting board, the voting
board of elections,
board of elections commissioners, and that's another.
So basically, the point is going off of the actual numbers, it's expensive.
Yeah, but if you do it by machine, you're taking away about 19/20 of that, of that amount.
Now, let's talk about the security of systems in general.
Okay.
And then if you'd like, we'll talk about the security of our systems and some things that we've got coming down the line. But in general, a voting system has to meet something called the Voluntary Voting System Guidelines that were produced by the Election Assistance Commission, which is a commission of the federal government, independent commission. And they provide guidelines for certifying systems. Each voting system has to be, that gets certified, has to meet all the guidelines, and a copy of their software, which is the only software that's allowed to be on the system, is kept by the EAC. It's called the golden copy. At any point on a judge's orders, the copy of the software can be compared to the copy of the software in the voting system to make sure that it's a 1-to-1 match. There aren't any, haven't been any viruses introduced. There isn't any change to the code. Right. There isn't any flipping of votes. So you can verify that the software has been certified before it went in, and that the same exact software is on the system now.
Okay.
All right. So we can go to the point where, all right, I make a copy of the golden copy. I check all of the software on all of the systems before they're distributed to the poll sites. Secure the system. So it's got security patches over any input devices, for example, so it can't be tampered with. When you come back after you collect the results, you do a statistically significant audit of the systems and say, look, we're going to randomly pick whatever degree of freedom you want. So we're accurate to within 1/100% if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
You still don't have to count all of the systems. You can if you want to, but again, we're talking money and time.
Right.
And you verify the software on the systems. If there is a particular system in question because it was at such and such a polling place and the power went out or something like that happened.
That has happened in
Yep.
these past elections, in reference to either the power going out or now in reference to viruses. Have you come across any of these voting systems that have been hacked?
There have been reports of it. There have not been any credible reports that I have seen. I have looked at the numbers. There was a report coming out of Arroyo County in Colorado that 15 million votes were changed. Well, there's only 700,000 people in Arroyo County.
Yeah.
So, and I can provide links to those interviews if your your viewers would like to see them.
Okay.
They can contact you and I can get them to you.
Okay.
So I've got backup for every number that I'm sharing with you and all of these processes. You can check eac.gov to see how the Election Assistance Commission works.
Okay.
And see the actual directives that are part of the voluntary voting system guide.
All right. So in reference to, and my system's a little, so there we go. So in reference to, if you want to find out how these, voting systems are, or you need more information about the voting system itself, you just go to eac.gov.
Right.
Okay. Now, all right. So we talked about the voting systems that are up to right now.
Right.
Where are these voting systems going in the future that could lead to most people feeling safe, going to the ballots, going to the polling places and voting?
Well, let's talk about this for a minute. Joey, you've got your sponsor, right? Your sponsor pay you in cash in an envelope?
Actually, we don't have sponsors, believe it or not.
Okay. Well,
I ran a commercial before we started.
Right.
But if I do, I actually haven't set up a payment yet because the commercials that run hasn't done anything yet.
Okay. But by and large,
if they did, it would wind up being through PayPal.
Right. Exactly. We don't use paper money now.
Right.
Most people, in fact, it's not only do we not use paper money now, you go your local grocery store, Joey. Do they take $100 bills?
If you're at the self-checkout, probably I've never seen $100 bill get rejected.
Most stores, and I bet if you went and looked at the signs, most stores will not take $100 bill now because of counterfeiting.
Right. That, I like in other places like McDonald's and other places I've seen it, but like the one I'm talking about in particular, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Now let's talk about, you go to your bank, you make a cash withdrawal at the counter. Okay.
Yep.
You get a stack of 20s and, some other things. You walk away from the counter and something doesn't feel right about one of the 20s. You take a look at it, you go back to the counter, and sure enough, it's counterfeit.
Right.
Okay. Who's responsible for that?
It'd actually be me because I didn't check it before I left the counter.
That's right. So banks won't take responsibility for paper.
Mm. Of course not.
Okay. So we have moved to a situation where most people pay electronically. Not everybody does, but most people do.
Right.
And yet they want to move to paper because it's more secure for voting.
Right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Like I said, well, in reference to why some want to go to paper is because, there are residents in the cities and the towns and all that, can't get around and can't get to,
absolutely.
So I can understand that part. But, those like you and me that could walk, or drive to a polling place, to vote. I mean, I do it because I'm kind of in between even though my polling place really is around the corner from where I live, but it's easier for me to vote because I feel that if I get it there in time, and usually as soon as I get the ballot in the mail, it's out the next day or two. So I make sure that it's there even before election day.
Right.
Because I want to make sure it's counted on that day. And usually I get an email letting me know that it's received.
Right. But your ballot is still being counted. You're filling it out on paper, but it's still being counted by a machine.
Right. At that point, as long as it's counted, that's where I'm more focused on. As long as my voice was heard.
Absolutely.
Quote unquote,
And I and we at VotRite are certainly not against mail-in ballots. That's an important part of democracy.
Right.
People have the right to vote, and if you have, we can go into the whole history on why we vote on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
That
is a good question. Why do we vote on a Tuesday? I mean, I've seen special elections done on a Saturday and other days, but why, especially on a Tuesday?
Okay, that goes back to two things. Number one, the size of a county is traditionally, as far as a man, not a person, a man can ride a horse.
Okay.
All right. So that gives you, that's the rule of thumb or rule of hoove, I guess, on how big a county is. So you need to ride from your homestead to the county seat, because counties run elections, remember?
Right.
So you need a day to do that. Well, you can't go on Sunday because of, in the Judeo-Christian background, Sunday is the day of worship. So you're in church on Sunday. You need Monday to get to the polling place. So you vote on Tuesday.
Okay. Oh, okay. I never looked at it that way. But, actually, I could look at it that way. Now, you were mentioning the software that you're working on where you're at and the voting. So explain about what your company does.
Okay, we facilitate, so far we've been working with private elections, homeowners associations, unions, people like that have to hold elections too. We are going through the process of certification our technologies for use in public elections. But we have a few different systems. Number one, if it's a small election, we have all of our stuff in a van. So you've got a school board election. We bring the van out, you vote, We tally the results, you're done.
Okay.
Our system, the Titan voting system, which is what we are going through certification with, has a lot of unique features. Number one, it is completely non-networked. It's called air-gapped. Our systems don't connect to a network at all.
Okay.
It has an electronic key that has the ballot on it. It takes 2 different passwords to activate it, and the system won't start up without the electronic key that contains the ballot.
Okay.
It verifies that that's the correct ballot in there. 2 people at the polling place have to activate it for the voter. The voter can then vote in private on it. They see their ballot on the display. They can, if the jurisdiction wants to, it can also print out a paper ballot on cash register tape, not the big tapes that, big ballots that you've been dealing with.
Yeah.
On cash register tape, so they can verify it. And then once they verified it and they're satisfied with it, they hit the cast button. At that point, it counts.
Okay.
It doesn't count until they hit the button.
Okay. So
Now,
when they hit that red button that says vote, that's when it's actually
counted. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Up until then, they can change it however they want.
Yeah.
Now, on our system, it can produce that ballot in so far 22 different languages, either written or spoken.
Right.
It can read it to you if you can't see or can't see well. You can change the colors on the screen from voter to voter if, for example, you need a high contrast system or you need a low light system because you have light sensitivity. All of that is under control of the voter.
Oh, wow.
Not only that, the system can be mounted on a accessible table, and if the jurisdiction allows it and the facility is set up that way, a system can actually be wheeled out to a car with the approved voter in the vehicle. They can vote on the system from their car and then have it transported back into the voting system.
Oh, wow.
Now you have to have the proper chain of custody all the way through that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is something that our system can do. It can run up to 2 hours without being attached to a power supply.
Okay.
And then we have additional power supplies available if you need to run it for the whole voting day.
Right. Right.
It doesn't have to be plugged in at all.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is saying that a poll worker brings out a system to a voter's car.
Right.
And then just as that poll workers get ready to go in, another person decided they want to vote from their car. Can it hold more than one vote as it's doing that? Or
absolutely.
Okay.
It can hold the entire election's worth of votes that way.
Okay. So literally, they could do a drive-through voting,
Yeah, you could. Oh. Now, there are, poll book issues
okay.
that that would have to be set up to protect the chain of custody. But yes, you could literally do drive-through voting.
That's going to be that will probably be the next thing that will be happening, Christopher. That will probably be the next. That may be the next thing that may happen. It goes from mail-in voting to drive-through voting. I would be interested in seeing that happening. To be honest.
Okay, now think about Chick-fil-A at noon.
Yes.
Okay, and then multiply that by 1,000 more, and then cut the number of locations because you've got more Chick-fil-A's in Philadelphia than you have polling stations.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yes, I realize that.
Okay, but the technology would support it, whether or not the politics will. But we have a different solution.
Okay.
You got a cell phone on you?
Yes.
Okay. How'd you like to be able to vote securely from that?
I would be comfortable with that. I mean, if it goes right directly to be tallied or even held to be tallied on election day, if it was like the mail-in voting, yeah, I'd have no problem voting from my phone. because
No.
like I said, to me it'd be like mail-in voting, just and then I don't have to. I'll see an email faster than I would with mail-in voting.
Right.
So yeah, I would like to see that as well. But the interest of the driving vote is more intriguing.
Yeah, I mean it's more fun.
Yeah, and literally seeing, you pull up to instead of like walking into a church or to whatever the polling place is, you drive up to Lincoln Financial Field or what used to be Wells Fargo is now called Xfinity Mobile's Arena. Take a parking lot of that, or even crazier, you do it in front of Live Casino Philadelphia. That's got because they got a portion of the Citizens Bank Park parking lot now, since that was opened up.
I'm familiar.
Yeah. So yes, being a Mets fan, I'd understand that. But in reference to like doing the drive-in, having a tent set up to where you drive up, you show your ID, you give your name, to be checked in, and then you drive up, or you get that piece of paper to go to the next, step to the actual voting booth or that actual voting computer process right there, and handing the two people that piece of paper, and that way they activate the election, the voting machine for you right in your right at your car, and then they hand you the slip of who you voted for,
No, you don't do that.
No, they don't let. No.
Yeah.
Or no, or some type of notification saying that you voted.
Exactly.
So, that's what I meant to say.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I was aiming at saying. And then going to that last, like the security person to show, hey, I voted. So that way they can say, okay, have a nice day.
Right.
Something like that. I mean, I could see that happening in Philadelphia. I could see that.
But what the other thing that's interesting about our system, the Titan, is that it records each vote 3 separate ways.
Okay.
It's assigned a random number that is kept across, so you can do an audit and make sure that each one of the votes was recorded the same.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't be tied back to an individual voter. They can be tied to each other.
Right.
So when you audit it, you can say, well, we did a random audit on this, and we checked so many of these ballots, and we checked all 3 versions of it, and all 3 are the same.
Okay.
And then you can do that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So you've got the voter verifying that this is how they voted. You're keeping 3 separate independent copies of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they all go on that key, which has got to be physically transported back to the tallying center and plugged into the machine that does the actual recording of the vote. So you have a chain of custody of that electronic key the entire time, and the management system tracks, you can't, this key's already been counted, you can't count it again, or these are the keys that haven't been counted yet, we need these keys.
Okay. So here's a good question in reference to the drive-in voting that we were talking about. And saying, I'll use the scenario of Lincoln Financial Field. I don't feel like using Xfinity. Well, no, correction. I'll use Xfinity. I'll use the Xfinity because Wells Fargo's that parking lot is huge. So saying that Philadelphia decides, all right, we're going to do one big drive-through voting process at the Xfinity Mobile Arena parking lot. And you have 5 lanes, we'll say.
Yeah, Joey, that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen? Okay,
No.
what my question would have been was, can there be a system to where there's like, I mean, they actually wouldn't be using 5 machines. I mean, it'll be like, there'll be others inside of a main like trailer type.
What my point is that it's an option for things where it would make sense. You'd have to solve the politics around it and the logistics around it, but the machine itself can handle it.
Right.
But it wouldn't be the option. It would be another option.
Okay. But my question would have been, could there be a mobile version of that tally machine that you were talking about? Like, like with the polling place, taking a machine out to a drive-through to a customer and a voter in a vehicle.
Yeah, there could be. There's actually several ways that you can do that, but the most important thing is to protect the chain of custody of that. And if you have multiple tallying points, then you have to have secure communication between them.
Okay. So like I was saying, in that parking lot, there would be like one big, trailer with that tallying machine, or that what the machine needs to be hooked up to tally these votes, but also spare machine, extra machines for when that time runs out on the one machine. You bring it in, hook it up to the tally, and then take another machine out to replace it with.
Well, probably what you would do in that scenario is just have it on a 16-hour battery.
Okay. All right. So, but it can happen that way.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now that we explained that we see these future possibilities of, either voting on a computer in your car or voting on your cell phone, as compared to voting on paper or going to a polling place. What's next for Christopher, though?
Well, what's next for Christopher is trying to bring all this stuff to fruition.
Okay.
I've been working with this stuff for a long time, a good portion of my life now, almost literally half of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got to see some incredible things. I've got to work with some incredible people on both sides of the aisle. The election in 2000, Bush and Dole,
mm-hmm.
There were the issues with the hanging chads in the voting booths down in Broward County, Florida, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I have one of those voting booths in my basement now.
Oh, wow.
I actually have chads in my basement.
Wow. So, all right. So go ahead.
I just want to see this to fruition. I really do want to be part of protecting democracy and making sure that people can vote in a way that's accurate, fair, verifiable, and that they know that they had an authentic voting experience.
All right. So what kind of advice could you give to the voters now? What kind of security can you state to the voters of where the election system is going now?
The most secure way to vote, and whether or not you support it or it's the best solution for you, the most secure way to vote is in person, either early voting or on election day, depending on the jurisdiction. If you can go there in person and vote on the machines that they have, whatever system it is, if you follow the instructions, and that's another part that's an issue. Now, I live in Burlington County, New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
I told you. I literally am.
I know you mentioned South Jersey, but it just clicks in that you live in that county, because that's kind of like one of the counties that I'd like to move to, because of I know people there, per se. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Now, our voting system had some issues, particularly in the primary in 2024. They had a new system in, and it uses a paper ballot. But what it does is you make your selections on the screen, and then it prints a two-sided ballot to be scanned.
Right.
Well, the way that the system was deployed was it would print. If you've ever used a two-sided printer, you know that it prints one side, then the paper goes back in and it prints the other side.
Yeah.
Okay. The way that it was configured was to print the second side of the ballot first, and then the first side of the ballot.
Right.
The voter education system was not great, and people would grab it when the page came out the first time. So it never got a chance to go back in and get reprinted.
Right.
But they were printing the second page of the ballot first, except the second page of the ballot was blank. There were only enough races for the first page of the ballot.
Wow.
So they were grabbing a ballot and it was blank.
Oh, jeez.
Now they've been disenfranchised.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So in reference to.
So back to your question, the most secure way to vote is to vote in person at a machine and make sure that you follow the instructions.
And vote and following the instructions to the T, and not grab the paper and just run. Make sure you watch it fully complete.
Right. If you live in a place where you hand mark the ballots and then feed it in, make sure you mark the ballot correctly.
Right.
You have to
sure
put
you
a check
in.
Right.
Like the old tests, the old tests. You filled it out. You took your test, and everything you had to circle the number dark to make sure that the machine read it.
Yep.
Same way. If you're going to do that, yep. God, I remember those tests all too well. Those were to me, they were like fun back then.
So
but that I'm talking late 80s in reference to that.
Yeah, don't go
Scantron.
there.
That's what they were. They were Scantron tests.
Yep.
That's
Scantron tests.
Yeah, the good old Scantron tests. Yeah. Oh, those were the days. So practically, what we're going into is back into a Scantron type system.
Well, no, not if they go with ours. Because I mean, it does have a paper ballot that can be audited later and verified by the voter if that's what the jurisdiction wants to do. But it's kept electronically, so all you have to do is plug the key in to the tallying system, the election management system. That reads all the results, and it's ready for the next one. So instead of taking 3 minutes a ballot, you're doing an entire voting machine in 30 seconds.
Now, if people decide they want to reach out to you in some way, and they have questions like like about voting systems and stuff, how can they reach out to you?
Well, how about if we do it through you?
Okay. All right. So practically, just if you have a question in reference to what was spoken about today, and while we're still on right now, you can make a comment on the live stream right now if you have any questions that you want to present Christopher right now as we're talking. Otherwise, if you leave a comment and I see it, because it comes to my email when there's a comment, because these podcasts get stored into the live section of YouTube on the Life with Joey Calvo YouTube channel. So it'll always be there. So even after this, you have questions and it comes to me, I will reach out to Christopher in reference to it. And then when he gets back to me with that answer, I will reply on the YouTube channel. So,
Okay.
If anybody has a question now, because we do have at least one person watching live, if that person has a question right now that they want to ask, please put it in the comment section right now while we still have Christopher on here now that we can actually do this. Because
I'm sorry. I am going to ask you to put up our website though.
Okay,
which
go
is
ahead.
VotRite.com.
Okay. All right. Not a problem. All right. So you can even. Nice if I sent it. There we go. Okay. Just bear with me one moment, folks. This is why I have a GoFundMe page, because the system I'm using is slow now. It's outdated. Just like those old voting systems, So go to VotRite.com and explain a little bit more on what they will see when they go on the website.
Well, that's our corporate website. So that'll show you the different solutions that we have, what we have coming up. It's your opportunity to just take a look at what's coming down the line for voting systems that voters can actively use and be assured that their system is their vote is being recorded accurately, that their voice is being heard, and that it is secure all the way through the process.
Okay. So when you go to the website, folks, you see what's going on, and have that security, knowing that when you do go to the voting polls and to the voting places to place your ballots, they are secured, because that's the main thing that really went through the 2020 and the 2024 elections was voter security, and to the point where now people are most voters are now doing it mail-in ballot, me being one of them, only because it's not that I don't trust the machine. It's just that, if, does my ballot actually get counted, or will the power go out and it erases it? So that's why I do the in reference to right now. But when it gets to a point where you could do a drive-through ballot or, vote through your phone, then, I'll switch to voting by phone, in reference to it, because, then I know that the only way my vote won't get there is if the tally machine where that vote went to goes out. That's the only way I'm just saying, in reference.
I understand.
Yeah.
If it's ours, it won't.
Yeah. So that's the best thing. Once it goes to a vote by phone, then, I'll be more safer that way, more comfortable than doing it by paper and waiting 30 days for the city to say, oh, we got your ballot and it was counted, So Christopher, I thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You're welcome to come back on at any time. And then, like I said, to those that are watching towards the end now, if you have a quick question, get it in now while I have Christopher here live, about the voting systems, where the voting systems are going in the future, what direction the voting systems are going, and what you can still do in reference to voting, in reference to it. So if you have a quick question, get it in the comments right now, very quickly, while I still have Christopher on here for almost another 2 minutes, because we are coming up to the hour. But definitely, Christopher, like I said, in the meantime, I thank you so much for coming on. And
it was my pleasure.
Come out to me directly, so that way we can bring you right back on here. I mean, we could do a post-election chat about what happened during the 2025 elections, if you want.
Absolutely. Or we could have a post 49ers and Eagles game.
Unfortunately, that's not happening this year. Unless we get back into the championship game, then I could say, or a divisional game. Then I could say that, because we're both 3-0 right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I definitely could say that. But definitely, Christopher, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was a lot. It was very interesting to learn how the voting system is and what the voting system can be in the future.
Right. Thank you very much. I do look forward to speaking with you again, Joey.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for watching the Life with Joey Calvo podcast. God bless you all.